Tout le monde est prêt? Everybody's ready? Welcome. We've gone live. Welcome everybody. Bienvenue tout le monde aux séances extraordinaires du Conseil municipal de la ville de Westmount pour lundi le 21 octobre 2024. Welcome everybody to the special municipal council meeting for the city of Westmount for Monday, October 21st, 2024. Just before we call the meeting to order, given that this is an extraordinary meeting, it's not your typical council meeting, so we only do questions on the capital, on what's being tabled tonight, which is the presentation of the 3-year capital expenditures program for 25, 26, 27 fiscal years. And this is sort of the first step in the budget process where we will also adopt the complete operating budget, and the date of that, I believe, is December. Est-ce qu'on a une date pour ça encore? Le mi-décembre. So this is one step towards that, and we are doing this a little bit earlier than we typically do. In years past, we have normally adopted our capital works budget sort of mid-November to the end of November, and we are trying to move that up a little bit as we do. We're trying to just be more efficient in our planning on that, especially given the number of public consultations that are involved with some of the capital projects that are going to be happening next year. So this is the last PTI budget and operating budget that will be adopted within this mandate, because the next budget, while it may be prepared, and certainly will be prepared long before November, but this would be the last one that's actually adopted by this council. Donc, those are my, so if you're here to ask questions about other subjects, we will be strict with the guidelines on this because it is very clear. So we will begin with the adoption of the agenda, and that is Councillor Shammy.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I move that the agenda of the special council sitting of le 21 octobre, 21 October 2024 be now adopted.
Thank you very much. A seconder is Councillor D'Amico. All in favor? Aye. Carried. I will begin with a short commentary. Can I just have some water for that? A short commentary, and then I'm going to hand it over to Councillor Peart, who is the commissioner responsible for infrastructure as part of his many roles. And then when we come to the operating budget phase, you will see that it is Councillor D'Amico who will table the entirety of the operating budget. So before I hand it over to him, je vais dire quelques mots. Dans quelques mois, nous allons terminer l'année qui marque le 150e anniversaire de notre ville. Tout au long de l'année, nous avons regardé avec l'admiration et fierté les événements, les personnes et les projets qui ont fait de notre ville ce qu'il est. Il nous faut aussi continuer de regarder vers l'avenir. Nous devons continuer à évaluer les défis et les opportunités qui se présentent à nous avec un plan détaillé et être déterminé à faire le travail. Il y a le programme triennal d'immobilisation, PTI, qui est un plan chiffré, comptable, des projets que nous espérons réaliser, des projets dont nous pensons qu'ils pourraient bénéficier la communauté. Et puis, il y a des journées comme aujourd'hui, des journées où certaines choses prennent forme, des journées où certains membres du conseil, les employés de la ville et moi-même avons pu voir les merveilleux sourires d'enfants et des parents qui étaient heureux de retrouver une magnifique aire de jeu au parc Westmount, avec des équipements renouvelés, des sentiers restaurés, le tout sous un magnifique soleil d'octobre. Ces journées sont les grands moments pour nous, car elles nous permettent de voir concrètement l'impact de nos actions sur la communauté. This project that we saw open today is just one of many, many examples that have been completed in the past years. Another example this year would be Upper Lansdowne Avenue, a major project for our city that also allowed us to rebuild not only the road infrastructure, but also the underground infrastructure of this avenue. These are just a few examples, but we must do more. Our commitment must meet the needs of the community, but must also prepare us for the challenges ahead. We live in a world where the consequences of global warming are increasingly impacting our roads, water mains, and infrastructure in general. A world where the growing electrification of transportation will require us to invest massively to meet the demand for electricity in our city. A world where cities will need to meet the rapidly growing demand for upgraded municipal services, drinking water, snow removal, waste management. The 3-year capital works program we are adopting today does not address all the problems at once, but it is part of our commitment to meeting these challenges. We must maintain and preserve the green spaces that are the joy and pride of Westmounters, invest in our parks so that they are more accessible and adapted to our community. Many of our roads are still in deplorable condition. We are very well aware of this. We also know that we must continue to invest in the maintenance, rehabilitation, and replacement of certain sections of our water main network, some of which is a century old. So for 2025, we are already planning to invest more than $20 million in the road and water main projects. These projects are essential to continuing to providing the level of service that meets our expectations as a community. All of this must be done strategically in order to minimize the impact of these works on residents' quality of life. A strategic approach is also required for the financing of our capital program. Simply put, we cannot do all the work that needs to be done in 1 year, nor can we pay for it. Historically, the Capital Works program was essentially financed by our tax revenues and surpluses in a pay-as-you-go program, and it served the residents well. As was already announced in the last year, it is imperative to diversify our sources of financing and optimize our use of borrowing to finance our capital program. Several reasons support this approach, including the scale of the investments required and our desire to limit the tax burden on Westmounters as much as possible. Westmount debt level is also very enviable in comparison to other cities of similar size, and we are well positioned to give ourselves the financial capacity to invest in the maintenance and improvement of our infrastructure assets that our residents expect. Les défis et les enjeux sont nombreux et divers, mais notre engagement commun à préserver et accroître la qualité de vie de notre communauté est inébranlable. Donc, thank you very much. Now for the details of what we have planned and what we have been working on, I will hand it over to Councillor Peart.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Nous sommes heureux de présenter notre programme triennal d'immobilisation de PTI de 2025, 2026, 2027. Conformément au Code municipal de Québec et de la loi sur les cités et villes, ce programme est adopté par le Conseil avant le 31 décembre de chaque année. 2024 a été une année de réalisation importante. D'importants travaux de reconstruction de routes ont été réalisés. Parmi ceux-ci, il y a eu la reconstruction du boulevard Dorchester en direction est, la reconstruction complète de l'avenue Upper Lansdowne, qui incluait un remplacement de réseau local d'égouts et aqueducs, et les réparations de l'infrastructure Hydro-Westmount. Nos équipes ont aussi procédé à la réhabilitation des conduites d'eau sous place Brayside et sous le parc King George du croissant Belmont, à l'avenue Murray, et sur l'avenue Mountain entre Cedar et Sherbrooke. Nous sommes aussi très fiers des travaux qui permettent la rénovation de l'aire de jeu de parc Westmount et la création du Makerspace, un espace culturel à la bibliothèque publique. Malgré tous ces accomplissements, l'étendue des investissements à faire réaliser pour les années à venir est grande. Notre ville est belle et si nous désirons que les générations futures puissent continuer de s'y épanouir, nous devons continuer d'investir dans nos actifs. Why have we waited to pick up the pace of our investment in the city's infrastructure and assets? The question is legitimate. In 2016, our city's infrastructure plan recommended an average investment of approximately $15 million annually over 20 years. However, several factors have revealed that this amount greatly underestimated the actual amount of investment required. The aging condition of much of our infrastructure, the impact of climate change, the rising cost of materials and equipment, and the growth in the consumption of municipal services are all factors that have led us, since 2017, to exceed the projections of the 2017 to 2037 infrastructure plan. Thus, we did not wait to accelerate the pace of our investments. We have invested more and completed more projects than was anticipated in this 2017 to 2037 infrastructure plan. Now, we must continue on this path for the coming years. In 2025, 2026, and 2027, approximately 60% of the capital works program will be dedicated to our roads, water mains, and sewers. Next year, for example, we will be undertaking the complete reconstruction of Claremont Avenue. This major road project, which also includes a water network rehabilitation, is estimated at $6 million and is integrated into a citizen participation process. Significant sums will also be invested in municipal buildings. The renovation and maintenance of these buildings are directly linked to the availability and quality of services offered to the population. For instance, we will invest approximately $3.7 million in the renovation and maintenance of the Public Works Department yard. This investment is essential if we want to continue to efficiently provide snow removal, garbage collection, and street cleaning services for years to come. We also want to continue investing nearly $2 million annually in the city's green spaces through various rehabilitation and redevelopment projects. Our goal is for Westmount to remain a city that stands out for the beauty of its green spaces and that these spaces benefit the community fully. That being said, the Capital Works program is not, strictly speaking, a budget. It is an ongoing process whose rigorous monitoring will allow for updating year after year based on the progress, delay, postponement, or cancellation of certain projects. The Capital Works program is also a course, a direction. It must therefore be aligned with the city's strategic orientations. In this regard, the Council is working with the administration to develop tools such as a strategic plan and an asset management plan that will allow the community to understand the municipal vision better. The financing of the program also remains an important issue. Several factors influence our financing strategy, including our ability to generate new revenue. This ability to generate revenue without massively increasing property taxes is dependent on our densification potential. We are a mature city. We have few areas available or suitable for real estate development. Densification is part of the solution, but we also must take advantage of our sound financial situation to diversify our funding sources. As we announced last year, we will be resorting to borrowing more often than in previous years to allow us to have the necessary leeway to carry out our investments. We also remain proactive in identifying and using government programs and grants to fund some of our infrastructure projects. In conclusion, I would like to thank all departments and the city employees who worked on this 2025 to 2026, 2027 Capital Works program. Now, just a small update for those who are watching or those in the audience or for those who have some time to spare. I invite you to have a look at our website, and you will find the PTI summary on the website in the finance section. Now, or you can just type into the search bar Capital Works or PTI in French, and you should find it easily with the search engine.
Which will be available tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
Oh, it's
go.
live already? Okay.
Live already,
Typically,
even
we have a
better.
bit of a delay. Okay. So thank you, Councillor Peart. And just a word, another word from me before we actually adopt this, or before we vote on this, if Council so chooses, is that I am very proud of the infrastructure work that we have done. We have not been short on challenges. The priority list is extremely long. The work that is done is, I mentioned the opening of Westmount Park today. That's typically not where all of our efforts and our tax dollars and the work from the administration as well as council goes towards. It's not typically with a ribbon cutting. We don't cut ribbons on water networks or hydro networks or things like that. But this council has diligently addressed as the best that we can within our capability to pay for it, to execute the work, increased infrastructure investment in the city. And it's needed, and it's, there's not a resident of the city that wouldn't tell you that it's needed. We see it too. We know the state of the roads. We know the state of the sidewalks. What residents might not know is that we also know the state of the sewer networks, the water networks, the hydro networks, and the challenges that we have in our municipal buildings, and the investments that they need. So much of our emphasis is always driven by what's happening underground, which can be less apparent to residents. But I hope that the community understands that a capital works budget like this has been done with an enormous amount of work from our administration, in particular our finance team, and as well our engineering and public works teams led with the Director General. So I want to thank them for the work that they've done in it. We are trying to improve year after year how we communicate it, how we share the information, how we get the information to residents so that they can understand it on a map and how it's going to affect them. And the one thing that we have done is we have started to change a little bit our public consultations and how those work for our major projects like that are planned for next year, where we have an opportunity to rebuild, which would be on Claremont and Fordon. So I want to thank all the residents that have come out and participated in that, because this is a new process for us, and we are learning with each one that we do. But I would just like to thank everybody who's been involved in this. This has been an enormous undertaking. So I don't know if anyone else has any comments or if we just want to go vote. No? Okay. I will hand it over to Councillor Councillor Peart.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Whereas according to the Cities and Towns Act, RLRQ, Chapter C19, the Council must, no later than December 31st of each year, adopt by resolution the municipal's capital expenditure program for the following 3 fiscal years. Whereas this program must be divided into annual phases, whereas this program must detail for the period coinciding with it the purpose, the amount, and the method of financing capital expenditures that the municipality plans to make and for which the financing period exceeds 12 months. I move that the 3-year program of the capital expenditures of the City of Westmount for the 2025, 2026, and 2027 fiscal years attached hereto be adopted.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor D'Amico. Any other questions or any other comments from anyone? Councillor Shammy chaired the committee the FNA committee that has managed the front end of this with the administration. So if there's no further comments, all in favor? Aye. Carried unanimously. So that brings us to the question period and then the closure of this meeting before we start the next special meeting.
In the spirit of capital works, I don't have a question, but I do have 2 documents to submit. I don't have copies for everyone because I'm on a budget.
You can leave them with the city clerk's
Thank
desk
you.
there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is John Fretz. I'm at 473 Lansdowne. I wish to say at the outset I can appreciate all the hard work you do, the coordinating, the consulting, but I must say, as it stands here and now, I am horrified by this capital cost budget. I mean, you have slashed from 2024 50% from the parks budget. You have doubled roads, which is great, from the previous year. But the question arises, can you really handle all these extra contracts and tendering out? I mean, that's a big job. And I think even Mayor Trent once said about 10 million a year did it. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of questions here. And I have to say, I don't want to be alarmist because I don't think I am, but I do my reading and I read that, the buildings need 100 million between now and 2027. So that's capital costs. I mean, is it in here or is it going to be in your annual budget? But it should be somewhere. or I will lose confidence in this administration, I have to tell you. I mean, this is a big cloud looming, and either, you know, again, I don't like to be hysterical or anything, but a budget's a budget, and we have to start saying how we're going to do this and involving the community. And then I guess my only question apart from that is, we are doubling I guess would be a loan bylaw. It was 7.6 million last year, and now it looks like it's going to be 13.2 million. I could be wrong, you know, I often am, but I like to check my figures. So we're building a debt. We should have some idea how far we're going to go in this. So, as I say, that's just my impression. I'm sure other people will be perhaps much more positive. And I just wish to reaffirm it certainly was a glorious day today, seeing the opening of the playground, and I wish to commend you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fretz. I'm not sure I fully understand the question because it seems as though you would like us to do more work with less money. Is that, I'm not entirely
Well,
sure.
I don't,
But
you know,
on
not
that
having...
note, I think
not-
it was more commentary that you had on a general state of affairs. I don't know if anyone else wants to comment at the, Councillor
Yeah, sorry.
D'Amico?
I'm not sure if you have the correct document in front of you.
Yeah.
Is it possible you're not looking at the most recent
Well, I've got
document?
something that apparently came off the screen.
Yeah.
Which has 2025, 26, 27. And like roads is now at 18 million something.
Okay, you have the right
And
document.
last year it was at 9, you know, 9.6. So that's a lot of extra work. And all I'm saying is,
So,
the best of administrations, can you really undertake that?
with confidence, we passed this capital works budget after working very closely with the administration that we can undertake these projects. It started out larger, and after a lot of examination, we had to scale it back as well. Would I like to have less work to do? Yes, I would. I think everybody on this council would like less work to do. But we are in a position where much of our infrastructure is at a point where we actually have no choice. We have no other path forward. But yes, we are taking on this budget with absolute confidence that we will complete it, just like we did this year with our capital works budget.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
I think your 224 budget was really, shall I say, comprehensible to the average layman like myself.
Which this is very, very similar to the 2024 budget in terms of its presentation and the
Yes.
details that are involved in it. And it's slightly higher, which takes into account there are some projects in there that are very significant in cost, being Forden and Claremont. And we are confident that we can take on, we would not be adopting this budget if we had not been very, very rigorous with the administration that we could achieve this. So thank you for your question.
Well, okay, I'd like, if I may, just very briefly answer that, what your comment, which is...
Question period
When I...
for
yeah,
you.
this is one of the most important meetings, so, you know, I'm not going to hog more time, but, you know, when I see that the parks budget suddenly slashed by 50%, I refer back to those years when our parks became derelict because proper maintenance wasn't being done.
So
That's the foundation
this
of my comment.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I very much appreciate your comment. And projects for the park and maintenance for the park, which I know you're incredibly devoted to, so maintenance for Summit Woods, maintenance for KGP, maintenance for Westmount Park, and the investments there will come into our operating budget. But as, you know, a major rebuild of a park, that becomes, that's part of our capital works budget. So they are separate. So you will see a significant investment in parks within our operating budget as well.
Thank you. Is there a second question period? No, eh?
No, just one round tonight, Mr. Fretz.
Thank you.
But thank you for your question.
Good evening. Dennis Spiro, 5,000 Division of NDG. Just a very fast question. I've had an
Do we have other Westmounters that are other residents that are in line for questions? It's typically how we do it. No?
Non, c'est
Okay.
pas des questions.
Monsieur Bureau, even though you're no longer a resident, I think you've definitely earned the right to ask a question.
Well, 5,000 Division of Liz unit, and I've had an email exchange with Councillor Peart. The Maurice, the owner of the complex, keeps saying that it's going to be done, the street will be rebuilt in 2025, and I've told him it isn't. So my question is there a plan to, in 26, 27, to redo St. Catherine from the Claremont, the Maisonneuve interchange all the way down to the Glen? Is there any thought about that? Because that section there is just awful, and I don't know what it's like underneath.
I agree with you that section, in particular the sidewalk, which services the Liz and many of the pedestrians there, is not in good shape. It has not been paved down by the Glen. No, it's been paved from Claremont, or from de Maisonneuve up to Sherbrooke.
My question's on the road.
It is not it is not part of our plans for 2025.
Correct. Is there any thought about it for 26, 27? Not at this point?
It's,
I don't have the list in front of me with it, which breaks down all the projects over the years. I don't have that in front of me. I do seem to recall that it is on the horizon, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to give you an imprecise answer without.
That's fine. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
thank you. C'est fini? Okay, meeting adjourned. Merci beaucoup. Stay tuned for the operating budget dates, which we will announce for December. And now we can move into our next. Wait, I think you're leaving for this one. We have another very short council meeting, which is also an extraordinary meeting, which I need to pull up in my agenda here.